So I've got to tell you about one of the weirdest pieces I've ever seen from Lego, and I know I've known it has existed, but I recently got it when I went to a bulk Lego reseller store near me, a local one called the Minifigure Shop. Shout out to them, by the way. And I found it just in a bin of parts. It is this right here. Now, again, I knew this existed. It is a type of Technic turntable, but I wasn't aware of what sets it came in, when it was produced. Well, actually, it turns out it's a fairly rare piece. It only exists in one set as a one-off piece from 1999, and that set is this one right here, the Droid Developer Kit. This is also something I recently learned about just a handful of years ago. Did not even know this existed, but as a Mindstorm set of a Star Wars theme from 1999, mind you, it's not the most common thing in the world. And in fact, looking for this piece on Bricklink, I only found like 6 of them available, 2 bottom pieces, 4 top pieces. Thankfully, relatively cheap, like 6 cents a piece, unless you live in America, and it's $4.50 for just one half, because America, I guess. I don't know. Point being, though, it's a really fascinating piece, and it's something I've wanted to get my hands on because I've wanted to use it in a set, but I've also had no idea what. What's really unique about it is the size. If you look at this is the bottom half. It's got a proprietary type of clip that goes into the top half, which is near identical otherwise. But when you click these 2 pieces together, you get a very satisfying, very loud click there. You can pull them apart by just like brute forcing it, but it does take a bit of effort. But you get this really interesting turntable, right? Because it's extremely thin. Like it's literally a half a pin in thickness for that rotation there. You also get a coaxial port in the center there, meaning I could send an axle directly through that if I wanted to power something on the top or on the bottom. That is an option. But it's definitely interesting to me because it's something that, although I knew about, I never went out of my way to learn about, even after I got the piece, strictly because I don't know what I want to do with it. It has a turntable, but as you know, for the most part, I build a lot of Rahi specifically, right? What Rahi would I build that has a turntable in it, that uses a turntable? There definitely are things, don't get me wrong, you could have a leg rotate around a turntable or something like that, but I've just never thought about the use for something like this before. As interesting of a piece as it is, as obscure of a piece as I now know it to be, what am I going to do with something like this, right? Like, it's fascinating to me, is all I can say. So it's definitely one of those interesting ones, but I'm sure that you've been out of your way as well and sort of looked for obscure pieces from Lego, especially from Lego's past. I covered one somewhat recently on the channel from a smaller piece that's encased within a larger steering module that I've also never seen out in the wild, but I'd love to get my hands on it, if only because I just want to salvage this piece out of it and play around with it, see what I can do with it. It looks like such a fascinating and useful piece, and yet I've never used it in anything, and I've never seen it used in anything. That includes this piece as well. So sometimes it's a lot of fun to just learn about obscure pieces like these, and there are many. I have my hands on a few of them myself, where they look as though they should be useful, and then you try and incorporate them in something, and they're just not useful. But that's part of the challenge, right? That's part of the fun. Talking about the whole blaster from Star Wars, coincidentally enough, another Star Wars exclusive piece. This piece right here, I talked about how I wanted to use it in a thing, so I built a little grasshopper around it, right? It's a very simple little build, and I do enjoy it. But sometimes it can be a lot of fun and a unique challenge to try to build something around one specific piece or a handful of pieces or the interaction that those pieces have, right? And the obscurity, I think, just lends to how enjoyable they can be as parts. So one thing I do know that I could do with this is I can actually rotate it until I align these 2 pinholes here, right? I could run an axle through that, and then I have a really obscure and interesting angle going on here. Definitely some interesting stuff that I can mess around with, and I plan to mess around with. But it's such a weird piece, and I quite enjoy it for that reason, if for nothing else. So it's definitely an interesting one. If you want to find out more about this piece, I just clicked on a thing that I didn't mean to. It is 9748. Now, that is the set that it comes from. My bad. And the part itself is part number, let's see here, 32273. So yeah, definitely an interesting piece. And then 32274 for the bottom half. I'd implore you to just go take a look at it. It's a fun one. Only comes in blue, so that's a thing. But yeah. All right, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Helps us get closer to 4,000, our next goal. And of course, as always, check out the links for Discord, Instagram, and Patreon, all of which will be in the description below. And maybe you'll see this used in Arahi here very soon over on that Discord server. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.